up, my babes, and welcome to another video. If you are new here, my name is Tracy James. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. As you guys can tell by the title of the video, I'm going to be telling you guys my story of how I lost literally everything, but how it was all restored tenfold. So if you're interested in hearing about this, you know what to do. Just keep on watching. Okay guys, so we have to take it back. We gotta take it all the way back. And I'm trying to be mellow and calm when I talk about this because this is something that affected me for a while. But now I'm in a much better space. I feel great about everything that I went through. I'm actually glad that I went through what I went through because it definitely taught me so many valuable lessons about myself and about life and about people and about trust and about honesty. So yeah, so we got to take it all the way back to, we're going to say December 2019. So December 2019, y'all, I was on a very strict spiritual journey. I fasted, I prayed every single day. I literally, what do you want to call, what's the word? I abstained from, you know what? And anything associated with self-pleasure and all that stuff, I just was not doing it. I was going to church on Tuesday nights. I was going to church on Sunday. Like, I was committed to my spiritual journey and I was deeply invested in it. And I started to manifest my dream life. I started to manifest the person I wanted to be with. I started to manifest where I wanted to live, what I wanted to drive, where I wanted to work, like all that stuff I started to manifest. And literally God started showing me in little small steps of like, okay, this is what you gotta do to get it. And it was like working. Like I was really fully within the will of God and everything that I wanted was coming into fruition. And he was literally showing me the path to take. It was just so clear. Like it wasn't any questions. I wasn't going back and forth with myself. So that is important as we get through this timeline. So just remember, y'all, I was in his will and he was very clearly guiding my steps and I never questioned anything. So I ended up meeting my ex and we got together, moved in about February of 2020, and the relationship was good. Him and I both was very spiritually connected. We were both invested in our spiritual journey. So like it just aligned. And of course, nobody's perfect. You're gonna go through your ups and downs and things are gonna happen and you're not gonna be on the same page. You know, people are gonna make mistakes. But however, we still had that common bond of our spiritual journey and being invested in growing our faith. But as you guys know, I'm coming from a small town and I'm in a big city now. I'm meeting people while still trying to respect my relationship. But I met this one particular guy and it just opened me up to the opportunity to party, drink, go out, have a good time, stay out late. And I didn't realize that I was slowly but surely stepping out of the will of God, from the will that God had for my life. And I was now about to transition into something totally different that was gonna cause me to lose everything. Because I feel like when you pray for something and when you manifest something and God gives it to you, it's now our responsibility to cherish it, to care for it, to nurture it, and to always remain in that position to where we are considering and respecting the very thing that we prayed and asked for. And so I just literally had blinders on at this point. Like I was blind to everything. I didn't really care if it didn't make sense to you. I didn't really care if I wasn't, you know, doing what was right. I just wanted to have fun. I wanted to be free. And I'll never forget, I literally, you know, this was like towards the end of my relationship. I felt so convicted to change what I was doing and to go back to where I was and to figure out how to get that respect for my spiritual journey back. But I remember saying, I'm not gonna consult God because I know he's gonna tell me this is not what you're supposed to be doing and this is not what you're gonna do. I knew he was gonna tell me not to do those things. So I was like, I'm not gonna ask, I'm not gonna consult, I'm gonna be on my own. I'm gonna figure it out on my own. I'm going to just do what I wanna do and not worry about, you know, feeling this conviction and having to go and pray about it and sit down and not have fun and be bored and be boring. Like all these things I was coming up with in my head. And I literally found a way to wiggle out of my relationship. Like I was just like, this isn't working. I'm in an emotional place right now. I just want to be by myself. I just want to do my own thing. The whole time, I'm just like, I want to be free. I don't want to feel, cause one thing about when you are on a deep spiritual journey, everything that is not of God will convict you so much. It will make you feel like you're almost in prison. But that's not a bad thing if it's going to help you progress through life. But I didn't see it that way because I was like, I'm young. I want to make mistakes. I want to be free. I want to do what I want to do. And I just didn't realize that in doing that, it was gonna like basically take away all of my integrity, all of my morals, all of my values, everything I stood for. And so me and my ex broke up. I moved out. I got my own place and I just started to live free. I started to date guys that I would never even give my attention to, alcoholics. Child, I even dated somebody that was doing drugs at one point. And I just remember sitting in my apartment thinking like, is this really all worth it? And I remember going back and forth in my head like, okay, I think I want to try it and give my ex another shot and give us another shot. And we did end up trying, and it failed miserably because I still was not in the mental state to where I wanted to value a relationship and value a person and honestly value myself. I just was concerned about being free, doing what I want to do. And so, y'all, they dumping the trash. But yes, so then here comes the part where now God is like, my hands are off of you because you're not listening to me. You're not considering me. You're not consulting me. You're not talking to me. You're not asking me for my guidance. So I have to show you. I remember very vaguely feeling like now I have to show you what really can, will, and is going to happen when you are out of my will. You are gonna lose everything. You're not gonna have a place to stay. You're not gonna have a job. You're not going to, if it's up to me, you're not gonna be in Atlanta full time. You're not gonna be coming home every day, still being in Atlanta and still making poor decisions. I'm gonna give it all back to you, but I have to show you what it feels like to be out of my will, to not consult me. Because when you go to God and you give God your life, there is never any real taking that back, because once you are rooted in it, that spirit never leaves you. It just doesn't leave you, and you'll always feel his presence. And so I remember feeling like, okay, now I'm really out of his will, and now I can't feel, I can't hear, I can't sense his presence anymore. So what next? And so y'all end up meeting this guy, and we were moving so fast. But my birthday came around, and me and my best friend were going to go to St. Martin. And this guy, was like, okay, my birthday gift to you is I'm gonna pay your rent. And I'm like, okay. Now, mind you, he had done it before, so it wasn't far-fetched for me to think that he was gonna pay my rent. And I paid for my birthday trip, and that was all of my rent money. Come time to pay my rent, he was like, oh, I can't do it. I'm like, what? Mind you, y'all, my rent was not cheap. It wasn't just something that I could pay up. It was expensive. And the way I was living, I wasn't managing money correctly. And he was like, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to pay it. I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm like, this is my rent we're talking about. I had never been late on my rent, ever. And this was around the time, you know, like slowly coming out of the pandemic, but you know, so many people in America had not paid their rent. They were like way behind, you know, eviction notices were getting put out and all this other type of stuff. And I remember just feeling like, okay, I'm gonna lose my apartment. So I got on the phone with the leasing consultants and the leasing manager. I was like, listen, y'all, I trusted somebody to pay my rent. They're not gonna be able to do it. What can I do so that you guys don't evict me? I'll pack up all my stuff, I'll leave. Like, I don't want to be forced out, I don't want to be kicked out. I just can't pay it, I can't afford it, I can't catch it up at this point. And thankfully they allowed me to move out and just pay back what I owed. And so that is when I moved into my semi-truck, because I refused to move back to Alabama. I did not want to move back to Alabama. It just was not serving me anymore. And so I packed up all my stuff, put my stuff in storage, moved into my semi-truck and started working over the road. And that was the season in which I had no other choice but to stick in the root of it all and go through it to get through it. The pain of feeling like, how could I go from having everything to having nothing, literally not having a car, just basically living in the semi-truck, going to sleep there, getting up, driving to make my money, parking, going back to sleep in the back, and feeling like isolated. But I knew that God had to take me through that. He had to isolate me. He had to confine me into a tight space so that my mind wouldn't wander and I wouldn't think too much. And the only thing I can do is consider Him and consider His word and basically rebuild myself. So that rebuilding process took probably about a year and a half. And just recently I remember praying. I said, God, I get it now. I understand. I have to consult you. I have to talk to you. I have to consider everything that I really truly want for my life. And I'll never go outside of your will again. If you could just please restore my life. I want a home again. I want to be able to come home every day and you know, relax. And I want to drive a nice car, and I want to have money saved, and I want to be able to take trips again. And here I am, literally off of the strength of me. Of course, it took some time. I had to save some money. I had to make better decisions. But here I am today with everything 10 times over. And I just want to say to you guys that it's so easy to lose yourself when you're thinking that you're doing what's best for you. And not everybody is spiritual or religious, and you don't have to be. That's your choice. But I feel like you need to find something that gives authority over your life, that's going to convict you to make great decisions, to make better choices, so that you don't end up in a position like me, where I'm just out here living young, wild, and free, making reckless decisions, and then I'm forced into a semi-truck for a year and a half of my life, when that was never the plan and that was never meant for me. But that was my punishment. I had to be isolated, I had to be sat down, and I had to work to rebuild my life. I had to literally work to rebuild my life. So that's my story of how I lost everything. I tried to kind of keep it short and sweet and simple, because this story can go on and on and on, and it's a lot of details to it, but that's like a little brief synopsis of how I lost everything, but how I got it all back. And I got it all back with prayer and isolation and being focused on the task at hand. So if you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in Sunday's vlog at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.